I will request Pallavi Madam to start the presentation.
Yes. Good morning to all the Tech Forum members who joined online throughout the globe. So I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Pallavi Kadam. I'm a graduate in legal studies, a postgraduate in scientific domain, and a postgraduate diploma holder in intellectual property rights law. So I have earned certifications of Indian Patent Agent, Startup Facilitator, and Indian Patent Trademark Copyright Attorney, and I'm a recipient of Women Scientist C Fellowship offered by DST TIFAC. So in brief, I'm an IPR professional having an industrial experience of almost 15 years, which includes R&D wet lab and dry lab patent management. So I'm trying to create public awareness in the IPR related matters very much enthusiastically. So thanks a lot, Vilas Rabade sir and team Tech Forum for offering me this opportunity to share my knowledge or to share my views on the IPR in the Indian scenario. And I'm very much happy for three reasons. To see that Tech Forum is actively involved in seeking opportunities of tech transfer, arranging tech talks, and conducting group meetings for industry and academia engagements. So let's move ahead towards the topic of today's discussion. Actually, the topic is related to IPR and its basic, but since in the global digital era, I have just put a title of innovation, a journey from knowledge to wealth, wherein we'll be trying to know what are all the 7 types of IPR well recognized, well encapsulated in various acts in India, and three basic reasons why to file patents in Indian jurisdiction. So IPR is a subject matter basically of legal framework, legal studies and worldwide disputes, economic framework and GDP. And it is also related to development index of science and technology of a particular nation. But for me, it's related towards the human revolution, cultural evolution, behavioral pattern, and a quotient of human empathy and intelligence. So basically, the human touch is always required for creating the intellectual property. So the simplest reason behind this is that IPRs, like creative ideas, including music, art, trademarks, writings, or copyright related works, patents, designs, they all impact on our day-to-day life. So as an IPR professional, I see a huge potential in the indigenous community by looking at the products they have developed and services they are offering to the global sectors such as food technology, mobility, electrical related industries, healthcare, sustainability, aviation, IT, BT, and AI. So it's beautiful Sunday morning here in Pune in the state of Maharashtra. The weather outside is quite pleasant. The temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. So let's move towards the towards learning the basics of IPR. So IPR in general is supposed to be the dry and somewhat complicated matter, but I'm trying to make it as entertaining as possible from my end. So let us move towards the today's presentation. So this is the disclaimer. Now let us enjoy a Sunday morning by knowing how jugadu we all are in our day-to-day life. Just check whether my video is playing sound or not once. Sound is fine, no, sir?
Fine, go ahead.
गीतों पे नहीं टिकी है, नहीं टिकी है, नहीं टिकी ये दुनिया टिकी जुगाड़ पे, दुनिया टिकी जुगाड़ पे। ऊपर नीचे सभी जुगाड़ू, भारी जुगाड़ू, हैवी जुगाड़ल तू भी झंडा गाड़ दे, तू भी झंडा गाड़ दे, झंडा गाड़ दे। डेडलाइन का डंडा प्यारे सबको फोड़ रहा है, नींद में भी हर बंदा किसी रेस में दौड़ रहा है। उसको बचाना है तो फ्यूचर बनाना है तो जहाँ वहाँ से जहाँ जहाँ से जो उखड़े उखाड़ कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़, कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़। अरे तुक्का मार कोई या कोई तीर मार, कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़, कर ले जुगाड़, कर ले कोई जुगाड़, कर ले जुगाड़, कोई जुगाड़।
So I hope this video helped all of you to understand how innovative we all are in our daily lives. My screen is visible, sir. Presentation.
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have started a woman-centric IPR providing firm. So the vision and mission statements are there. I'm not going to read those. Basically, identified 17 sustainable development goals, which are nothing but a bold commitment to end poverty in all forms and dimensions by 2030. So mostly we are targeting to SDG 5 and 8 by targeting the most vulnerable, increasing basic resources and services, and supporting the female communities who are having a mid-career break by providing them gender equality related workspace in the somewhat legal male dominated framework in Indian jurisdiction. And we are trying to create a decent workplace for women professionals for their economic growth as well. So these are the two verticals wherein we are basically working. One is IPR filing services, and the other is we are trying to raise awareness among all the stakeholders by conducting various sessions. And we are actively working on the third vertical as well, wherein we are trying to monetize the commercialization of all the IPR created by the grassroots innovators. So this is about the brief portfolio of IP Adventure LLP, my woman-centric IPR firm. You can always come and talk to us for your IP-related requirements. Now, why we need to study IPR? So, Tech Forum is nothing but the Technovator Forum, wherein you may require the IP-related filings, or you may need to identify what is the appropriate stage of any type of IP, and when can you file a patent or industrial design or a trademark before its actual publication or before its disclosure to the public at a large. So you need to know the IPR framework in thorough, though you are though you belong to any part of the table. So you may be IP creator, or you may be the IPR attorney, or India is looking for actively the IPR policy makers. So Indian Patent Office, or rather the intellectual property offices in all the 7 geographical locations, they are trying very hard to maintain, to enforce all your IP rights within the possible quickest time of grant and its and the related disputes as well. So there are various freelancers working in India and abroad for filing the IPRs of Indian or the global creators. So there are lots of IPR counselors based in various embassies. For example, the Dutch IPR attorney is sitting in New Delhi for understanding the Indian and Dutch relationship on an industrial level. So Indian government has set up a lot of IPR chairs, almost 20, in order to help all the students and all the stakeholders of the Indian education system to make this IPR regime as familiar as possible. Now, why are we gathering here? The Marathi phrase it tells that सरस्वती आणि लक्ष्मी ते दोघे एकत्र सुखाने एका घरी नांदत नाही. So what does this phrase means? It says that goddess Saraswati, the knowledge of goddess, she doesn't want to stay with the goddess of wealth, that is Lakshmi. So we are trying to break this mindset today by looking at the IPR in the global and Indian perspective as well. Now, this is a typical day-to-day conversation which we all are coming across. We mean the team IP adventure or the IP fraternity overall in the Indian scenario. So the people, they come with mixed type of confusion among their mindset for filing their IP with us. So now, I hope this image is quite familiar for all of you. It's a human brain. It is not depicting the age of any individual, or it is not letting me know what is the gender of that particular individual who is having this brain. In short, the human brain, it is always full of thoughts and it tries to create one or the other thing. So it may be trade secret, the intellectual creation emerging out of this human brain. It may end up with patents or trademarks or integrated circuit layout design or geographical indication rights or copyrights, plant variety for a farmer or industrial design or a traditional knowledge. Basically, these are all the types of IPRs known worldwide. Will be restricting our today's discussion on patents, trademarks, circuit layout designs, geographical indications, copyrights, plant varieties, and industrial designs. For trade secret, there is no evolved act in India. So in US, in the developed countries, they have their own trade secret related act, how to protect your business method or how to protect a particular recipe of your composition. They have highly evolved trade secret act. But India is working on all these aspects of putting it in the sense of legislature. So I'll not be referring to trade secret, and neither I'll be talking about traditional knowledge. So except these two things, we'll try to understand how the rest of the IPRs, they are impacting our day-to-day life, how they are different from each other, how what is the validity of them, and who governs the actual subject matter of that particular IP. So this is the typical page displayed on the Indian Intellectual Property Office website, which says that there are two types of intellectual property rights. First is the industrial property and second is the copyrights and related rights. So in India, there are 7 types of works which come under Copyright Act. And the industrial properties which are widely known in India are industrial designs, patents, trademarks or service marks, trade secrets, geographical indications, and semiconductor integrated circuit layout designs, plant varieties and farmers' rights. So mostly plant variety is having somewhat other holistic approach as compared to the industrial property with reference to patents or designs or trademarks. We'll try to understand how it is different in the later part of the presentation. Now, we'll be talking about patents. So what are all these things which you are able to see on the screen? It's a compass. After domestication of the horse, the human race, it tried to evolve from one part to the other part of the technology. Now it came the printing press. Now the paper currency, it started to take place in the communities. Otherwise, it was a bartering system. I need to give something, and Vilas sir is required to give me some other part of his earnings or his belongings to me in return of my belongings. But paper currency, they brought a huge revolution. Now we'll be talking about the invention of the steel. So it brought a lot of industrial revolution. Now, then the electric light, then the transistors. So these are all the technological evolutions. So antibiotics, the drugs and pharmaceutical compositions for the healthcare of the human society. So these are all nothing but the technological innovations or inventions or some functional improvements in the existing technology in order to make mankind's life a better one, a luxurious one, or a safer and a happier one. So what are the patents? So any intellectual property which is trying to provide a technological solution, may it be a product or a process or a combination of both, and it is trying to exclude others from manufacturing, using or selling the patented technology without the prior permission of the patent holder. So, and the validity for patents is 20 years throughout the globe. Now, there is some misconception among all the stakeholders. People, they come with us and they'll ask, we have filed a US patent, quickly help us to file an Indian one. So there are there is lot of emphasis on Indian Patent Act, what to patent and what not to patent. So globally, inventions or discovery, they both the things, they are of debate. But one thing is clear, that in all the national patent offices in 192 countries, that inventions are always patentable, whereas the discoveries are not. Now, basically, what this patent means, it may be a product or a process, and that product can be an apparatus or a device or a machine or a chemical product or drug, combination of drugs or biological entities as well. And the patent parlance, it always requires some technical advancement in the existing knowledge or existing technology. This is referred as the technical advancement under inventive step of Indian Patent Act. So this was earlier telegraph, then the telephone, and now the smartphone. So you are trying to make some technical advancement in the existing technology, then it's a subject matter of patent. Now, this is the Indian Patent Office website. It's a granted patent of one of our clients. Now, next IP is the industrial design. When the British brought the Indian and Designs Act in India, they tried to replicate in Indian scenario. But over a period of time, the stakeholders, they slowly realized that patents and designs, there is some overlapping and there is some thin line of difference. So Indian legislative authorities, they split the Indian Patent Act into and Industrial Design Act separately in the year 2000. Now, these are the design things which we come across in our day-to-day life. So these are the consumer products. These are the pharmaceutical products having some or the other aesthetic appearance or a look, and they're trying to help or they are trying to reduce the human efforts by twisting a pattern or a shape or a combination of lines or something. So this is related to ornamentation or farm machinery, drone technology. Now, so designs are a category of IPR which are focusing totally on the aesthetic appeal, that is the outer features which are visible for our naked eyes. So this is the retractable seat cover. You might have attended Parikshit Deval's session for this for his design creation. I assume you all attended his session, and we tried to put this industrial design as required by the Indian Design Act. Mostly the aspects which are relevant for any industrial design, they are related to shape, configuration, surface pattern, color or line, or a combination of both. So this is Indian Designs Act website. This is a granted design to one of our client certificate. So third type of IP is the trademarks, which you all come across very often, or people are very much familiar with the trademarks as one of the types of IPR in comparison with the rest of the IPRs. So what are trademarks? So you can see that the celebrity people, they trademark their own signatures. They try to protect their acronyms. So what is a trademark? It's a group of word, symbol, or combination of both, which distinguishes the products of one competitor from the products of the other competitors, or which are unique, distinct, and capable of being represented graphically. So this Kareena Kapoor sign is trying to represent itself in the form of a graph. So these are graphical representations, and these are capable of distinguishing the goods or services of one person from those of others. A brand can be registered under this trademark law. Now, if you talk about Tech Forum logo, the we call it as a device mark. There are two types of trademarks in general in Indian Trademark Act. One is word mark and the other is a device mark. If you talk about a word mark, then Tech Forum can file a trademark application for protecting the words per se Tech Forum, or the Tech Forum can file a device mark for protecting the rectangular shape of this Tech Forum logo having two persons with handshaken image. So the device or a word mark is eligible for trademark registration. Now, we'll be saying in brief about the types of trademarks. We'll not be going in much detail because due to the time restrictions. So trademarks can be service marks, collective marks, or certification marks as well. There are other types of tangible, intangible brand names or color which can be protected under Indian Trademark Act. So first type is color trademark. Second type is a sound trademark. I cannot play the sound of any brand here due to copyright related issues. If you remember the Britannia tidding tidding sound, then it's a sound mark registered by the by Britannia Industries. Now, the third type is a packaging trademark. We refer it as a trade dress. Basically, the Cadbury's trade dress, it involves the magenta color combination of the package. So, packaging trademarks, they are quite often common in Indian traders. So, this is the Indian trademark website. This is one of the trademarks granted certificate to one of our clients. Now, the fourth IP is the geographical indication. Now, let me tell you one thing, that geographical indications are totally different from the rest of the IPs. For example, patents, trademarks, or industrial designs, plant varieties. Why? The reason behind this is that geographical indications are a community rights. It means that they are owned by a certain group of people or persons of any community. It cannot be owned by either Vilas sir or myself as a geographical indication. I need to prove that I am a community holder for registering this particular GI for goods or any services under this Geographical Indication Act. Now we'll be having a look what are all those geographical indications, at least for Indian scenario. So Indian government is trying to bring as much awareness as possible in the Indian traders or community holders. Since if you compare the jurisdiction of France geographical area with respect to Indian geographical distribution, France is owning somewhat 363 geographical indication registered products, whereas in India we have only 363, and we always talk about the diversity in culture and all that. Still, we are unaware about our own authentic food products or accessories or the toys which we use. So these are various types of GIs which have been registered with the GI registry in New Delhi. So what are all these geographical indications? So these are indications which identify a good originating in specific geographical location in the Indian territory or a region wherein a given quality, a reputation, or other characteristic of the good is essentially attributable to its specific geographical location. Let us take example of Devgarh Alfonso mango. So similar type of climate in the Devgarh cannot be cultivated, or we cannot artificially create the similar type of geographical geoclimatic features in the city of Pune or in any part of the India. So that particular sweetness of that Alfonso mango is due to the geoclimatic features of Devgarh. So these are the especially and if you talk about the services or any edible or any other products, so the communities, they have tried very hard and they have specially attained few skills in order to put the geoclimatic features of that particular product, and they have come out with special characteristics, and that those characteristics are bringing a huge amount of reputation for particular product and or for particular services. So these are few of the geographical indication goods or products. Then what can be applied for a geographical indication application? So that subject matter can be an agricultural product, foodstuff, wine and spirit drink, handicraft related items, clothing things, or industrial products as well. Now these are a few examples of geographical indications which have been registered in India for Indian products. So this is geographical indications registry. This is a granted certificate for Puneri Pagdi. Now, next type of IP is the plant varieties. Now you may have a question in your mind that there are lots of innovators who innovate and who bring a lot of things of products or processes under patent design. Now, if there is a farmer in India and if he or she is trying to bring some innovation out of their farming practice, then is it a subject matter of filing a copyright? So yes, the farmers, they can protect their own plant varieties. But in India, we have the Plant Varieties Act, which regulates all the filings related to agricultural industry. So India being the agriculture dominating economy, the Indian legislatory authority, they don't want all the rest of the giant seed company or manufacturers to dominate or to monopolize the seed industry. So there is separate Plant Varieties and Farmers Act enacted in the year 2002. Contradictorily, in US, there are 3 types of patents. One is plant patent, second is utility patent, and third is design patent. But as we have seen in the earlier part of the presentation, patents are quite distinguishing itself from design. And plant varieties are the hybridized plant seeds. They come under the plant varieties. They are not the subject matter of patent protection in India. Now, we need to keep in mind that the governing body for this plant variety authority is the Department of Agricultural Ministry, whereas rest of the IPRs, excluding copyrights, they are being governed by the Department of Commerce and Industry. So in short, what Indian legislators think that we need to keep in mind, we cannot monopolize the farming industry for the sake of few giant seed manufacturers. Those may be Indian manufacturers or outside manufacturers. So you might have heard the famous Monsanto seed case about this dispute only. So Indian government or Indian legislative authorities who deal in detail about the IP and the farmers' economical mindset, they are pretty much clear that plant varieties will never go under the patent protection. They have their own legislative body, and there is separate line of prosecution for this plant variety. Now, this is a plant variety registration certificate. We are also actively trying to reach to the Indian farmers for explaining them the importance of their plant varieties or hybridized seed varieties. Now, next comes the IP of copyright. So as we have seen in initial slides, that copyright is an altogether different right from the industrial intellectual property right. So copyright and related rights, they come under separate body. They are not identified as industrial properties. So there are 7 types of works in India which are quite common for being registered under copyright. First is the literary work, second is the dramatical work, third is the cinematographic work, fourth is the musical work, fifth is the computer software code, sixth is the so copyright Act, it envisages that there are 7 types of works which are identified as copyright in India. So this is the copyright registration certificate. Now, the last IP is the integrated circuit layout design. So these are the innovations carried out on the semiconductor chips. So this is the least developed IP in India. The registry is trying actively to come up with some innovations in the electronic and integrated circuit layout design. So only one application has been filed and it has been granted to the one of the giant integrated circuit layout design. Yeah, these are all the Indian IPR legislatures which are actively governing the respective subject matter of that particular IP. In brief, patent takes care of all the technological products or processes. Now you can see when Britishers they brought in 1852, it was combined with the Designs Act. But the Designs Act, it got separated from the Patents Act in the year 2000. So copyright and related things, they are being governed by the Copyright Act 1957. So Trademarks Act, it came into existence in 1940, but the certain sections and rules, they have been amended in the Trademarks Act for Indian trade holders in 1999. So as I said, plant variety, the act is being referred as Plant Protection of Plant Variety and Farmers' Right Act. The rest of the acts, they don't talk about the rights of any specific IP holder in its preamble itself. But the Plant Variety Act, it talks explicitly about the farmers' rights under this PPVFR Act 2001. So Indian government is trying to bring some revolutionary changes in the Semiconductor Chip Layout Design Act, and they are trying to boost the economy of the semiconductor chip related MSME and manufacturers. This Geographical Indications Act is actively working, especially in the state of MP and Bihar. They are trying to bring registrations as many as possible for protecting the low income artisans and the creative people. So as I said earlier, Designs Act, it got established in the year 2000 to keep it as a separate act with reference to the Patent Act. Now, the last act which is quite relevant for the IPR related things is the Biological Diversity Act, which came into existence in the year 2002. So this act specially brings reference if your technology or if your product, it is related to pharma or herbal industry or nutraceutical industry, wherein the patent holder or the inventor is trying to utilize some or the other parts of the herbal or the medicinal plant related products This act tries to know whether the inventory is utilizing the biologically diverse forest related material or not. So while filing the patent applications for herbal and nutraceutical related industry, wherein we need to cross check whether the inventory is trying to exploit the diverse forest of India or not, and we have to get an approval from the National Biodiversity Authority Chennai for filing the respective patent application. We just cannot go and file the herbal related or the medicinal plant related innovations or inventions directly. For rest of the technology and subject matter, we can file. But for this particular subject matter, we have to get an approval. And once the approval is done, then the patent office will be giving the grant, or patent office will be disposing of the particular application related to these two domains. Now, we have to talk something about the WIPO. During the pandemics, we heard about WHO, which takes care of the global healthcare. Now, World Intellectual Property Organization, it is one of the 15 specialized agencies of UN. And why it came into existence is because the WTO and TRIPS, this agreement mandates all member states to protect their technological innovations, either under patent or design or copyright or geographical indication or trademark or plant variety. So the WTO TRIPS, they have given directions to all the member states. They can decide the specific legislature which is which gives a perfect combination of sui generis mechanism. It means that you can combine various acts under one specific act for protecting the grass stakeholders of that particular type of IP. Like in India, we have Plant Variety and Farmers' Right Act. Contradictorily, US doesn't have this act. They file the plant variety related patents under US Patent Act only. But in India, we have decided to follow sui generis mechanism for protecting the farmers' commercial benefits. So WIPO has WIPO, it got created in 1967, and it is actively taking measures for encouraging the creative activity among the creative community throughout the globe, and it is trying to promote the protection of IP throughout the world in under specific act for that particular member state. So the creation of knowledge and the specific resources of all the WTO members, it matters a lot. And every time WIPO is trying to check whether the specific National IP Act, let us take example that Indian Intellectual Property Office is taking proper precaution to protect the stakes of the end user or the consumer or the grassroots IP holder. So every time WIPO guides the specific national intellectual property offices, and they try to make it as uniform as possible, keeping in mind the specific economical stage of that particular nation. Now, we have seen that there are 7 types of IPR which are widely known in India, and they have been governed by specific IP related act. Now, when to start for identifying the IPRs? Now, there is a famous Chinese proverb which says that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. It means that for Indian IP related disputes or IP related development, the best time to identify the IPRs, it was somewhat 20 years ago. But as the Chinese proverb says, the second best time is just now itself. So we need to identify the importance of IP, the specific types of IP, and the cost and the energy, the efforts involved in enforcing the specific type of IP for the innovation or for the technovators. And we all need to gather together for learning or understanding all these IPRs in detail. Then we'll be seeing three major case laws which we have pulled out for bringing out few reasons to all of you. So you may have a question that why patents are required for our Indian economy or Indian. These are the siblings from Nagpur, Shubham Kolte and Ashwini Tarale, Shital Tarale. They have devised a specific ubiquitous system for helping the injured persons. Sir, check once whether the video is audible and visible.
Life is a
It's audible and visible, na, sir, video?
precious thing which
Yes,
is
yes. Yeah.
so it's our duty to prevent and save our life. As we all know, everyone on this earth can survive for a long time, but due to some lack of facility, we fail. Taking an example of an ambulance. Sometimes we see ambulance users stuck in traffic light, but that time we are helpless. As sometime other signal light is green and ambulance is stuck in a red light. And sometime there is too much conjunction in the same lane. Or you must have seen a patient lying on a stretcher without any personal data and given a normal treatment. At this condition, usually hospital used to connect with police and waiting to get details from police station so that hospital can inform to patient family. So to avoid all this, we have implemented system and method for minimizing pre-treatment time for a person in casualty in your habitus environment. So let me explain you how our system works. As we all know, traffic light function normal in normal condition. As soon as an ambulance with patient moving towards the hospital or without patient moving to the incident place, which is detected from X distance before the traffic junction. The signal for that road will turn green for X time till that ambulance passes traffic junction. And then signal will resume to the normal function. Condition 1. If another ambulance is detected on the same road and the signal remain clean green till the second ambulance passes. Condition 2. If suppose two ambulances are detected in opposite lane, then first in first out priority will be followed. That means ambulance which is detected first, that route signal will be green for X time till that ambulance passes, and then another route signal will be green after the first ambulance passes. You might be having a question in your mind that how ambulance is identified. Each ambulance will be associated with a unique identification card with unique number which says ambulance ID. When someone calls on 108 from the incident location where incident has taken place, then the system admin, i.e. control room, will search for the ambulance, and whichever ambulance is free, that ambulance will be assigned for the duty. This will get updated on the server. In short, ambulance will be assigned with the duty ID. When the ambulance will pick up the patient unique ID, for example Aadhaar card number, will be obtained from the biometric scan of the patient. This will be updated on the server. Patient fingerprint is not limited to only fingerprints, but it also contains iris scan, face scan, etc. will be scanned, and associated unique ID for the person will be fetched from the server. Multiple biometric scanner, LED screen, mini computer, and communication unit to connect with the server will be used here in the ambulance. So now, along with the duty ID, patient ID will be associated with the ambulance ID. At the same time, a notification will send to the hospital, and hospital will be calling to the patient family. And also family will be notified with location of the hospital, and doctor will be notified with the medical history of the patient. So there will be no more delay in the treatment. When the reader will detect an incoming ambulance, it will check from the server if any duty ID is linked with the ambulance. If it is linked, then only the signal controller will be triggered. Otherwise, normal signal function will be observed. Here, an internet communication unit will be required. The duty ID and other details will be reset to default when the ambulance reaches the hospital with the patient. This will be done by receiving an authority at the hospital. Each activity on the server will be recorded with timestamp, and all the transaction and the communication are taking place through the server. Each action will be recorded on the storage unit. Local storage unit can be deployed on the external SD card module to log the activities. This entire statistical log of activities will be available to the concerned authorities if required in the future. I hope you understood about our system. Thank you.
So So this way, the middle class innovators, they are trying to put their innovative skills in specific domains such as electronics or AI related knowledge for bringing the mankind at somewhat a luxurious state. Because in healthcare industry, if you speak about Indian scenario, there is a lot of chaotic situations with respect to the developed nations. Now, the third case study, we have pulled out why we need to file patents in Indian patent offices. Definitely, this is a story from a developed nation, but I want you to understand how philanthropical approach also can be attained by filing mere patents. So this is a story of a US orthopedic surgeon who is earning $1.5 billion, and he has been ranked as world's fifth doctor who is earning 1.5 billion in his healthcare services. So he's an very much intelligent engineer, mind-driven orthopedic surgeon. So let us look at his story. The earlier story was related with an Indian innovation. Now let us have a look how the people in developed nations, they try to monetize their innovations.
When he was a child, Dr. Gary Michelson's grandmother suffered from a spinal disease that destroyed her ability to sense hot and cold, made it difficult to walk, and caused unremitting severe low back pain.
So I can remember being a little boy and being over at my grandmother's house, and she's making macaroni. And she's got her hand on the stove, and I smell this horrible smell. And I look over, and her hand's on fire, and she's just leaning on the stove talking to me.
Michelson was determined to help his grandmother and others, a passion that's made him the most prolific spinal surgery inventor of all time. However, while in medical school in the late 1970s, a professor told him not to specialize in back surgery.
He said, back patients don't get better.
Spinal surgery was highly invasive and left many patients permanently disabled.
So I said to myself, this can't be right.
In the early 1980s, Dr. Michelson began his own spinal surgery practice at a Los Angeles area hospital from where he'd arrive home thinking about better ways to help his patients.
I'd be eating dinner and working on my ideas. If it was small, I'd cut these things or make these things at my kitchen table. If it was big and needed machinery, I'd go out in my garage.
Michelson saw that the key to better outcomes was minimally invasive surgery, particularly for a surgeon with NBA-sized hands. The systems that he invented for minimally invasive spinal fusion surgery can reduce a traumatic multi-hour operation into an outpatient procedure.
One day, you come in, you go out. People walk out on their own. That's crazy. Before this, people were in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Today, his more than 250 spinal surgery-related patents form a core part of a more than $5 billion a year industry, and Michelson technology guides surgeons worldwide. I
invented comprehensive systems that had at least the implants, the instruments, and the new operations that all work together. And they work together to achieve that goal of allowing a tremendously high rate of reproducibility despite who the surgeon was.
And every year, Dr. Michelson's inventions help more than 700,000 Americans walk tall and pain-free.
So right now he's having 340, he has invented Michelson devices and he got 340 granted US patents. And he has filed 950 patents outside US also, which are under pendency or which are under prosecution. So what he did is finally he sold all his patents related to the spine related tools and the devices, and he established a medical research foundation to fund cutting edge medical research. That's how quite clever gentleman. He saw a lot of low success rate happening from spinal orthopedic surgery. He developed new implants or tools and procedures which allow spinal surgeons to be more accurately and more precise and effective for performing procedures, which allowed for better success rate and outcome. So all these machines and devices, they have been identified worldwide for low blood loss in the operation theaters and less invasive spine surgeries, and there is reduced stress or trauma to the patient, and the patient needs to stay for a for lesser duration in the hospital. This is how the patents to be identified at an appropriate place and need to be filed and prosecuted for the better commercialization of the innovation. Because the holistic approach of any IP is to bring monetization to the IP creator, and it must give some or the other solution to benefit the human society at large. So I tried to make my presentation as simple as possible and as infotainment mode as possible. Now we have to conclude this session by viewing how innovation is important in Indian scenario. Fine, na, sir?
Yes, working.